Hello. Before this video starts, I'd like to mention copyright laws. Fair use says that you can use film footage for review videos as long as it's not an actual substitute for actually watching the film. So please don't copyright strike this, YouTube. But what exactly is Urusei Yatsura? Well, it was created by Rumiko Takahashi, who has made many classic mangas, and this was their first ever manga, and you'll see what the story is in a sec, but basically, I just need to say who that was so I don't get copyrighted. Enjoy the copyright lesson, I guess. But if you don't know, it was adapted into a show in the 80s, and then in the 2022 year, and everyone seems to have forgotten about that one, so this is... I know calling this a show that everybody forgot existed is probably a bit wrong, but in comparison to the original, everyone kind of did forget it. It's not really a forgotten show, it's more so not really remembered as well as the original version. Just wanted to clear that up before I continue with the video. Before I go on to this part, I'd like to add that I think the intro is really catchy. Also, it's created by Mason Des, or Mason Des, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's not the best intro I've ever seen, but it is pretty great. So, in episode 1, it is about Ataru getting selected to play a game of tag with the Earth at stake. And you know how it goes. Ataru accidentally gets married to Lam, and that's how the show gets started off. But I think this episode is pretty good overall. It shows off the characters very well. It shows off Ataru's personality, and Lam is funny, but it's completely different to any other part of the show. She's like completely different in this episode than she is in any other episode. But overall, it's a pretty good episode.
Let's give it up for our competitors who both showed incredible skill.
I'm gonna be a married man.
All right, then. If you truly insist, then I'll marry you.
Episode 2 is about Ataru's life with Lam and him meeting Sakura, who he accidentally bumps into, quite literally. And then she tries to remove his bad luck. While not quite as memorable story-wise, it is funnier. But part 2 of the episode is about Ataru trying to remove Lam's powers by using these ribbons that Trey gave him. Also, Ataru is drawn with 2 tongues. But it is another great episode.
Ataru, please don't die. Why?
Oh, Hanaru, how could you abandon us like this?
We wanted you back alive, you bonehead!
Excuse me, the doctor would like to speak with you for a moment.
Hello there. Think I can get your number before you leave?
So, this episode introduces us to Shutaro, who is kind of an enemy to Ataru and Lam, and overall he is a very fun character, and he's practically the opposite of Ataru at first, but the more you watch him, he is very different than just that. And this episode is another 2-parter, and part 1 is about them fighting for class president, but I think this is the weakest episode so far, both parts. It's not as funny as the other ones, but it's still good. And part 2 is about Shutaro and Ataru going into caves. And that's really it. It's not really got much plot-wise. It's kind of just that. This is part of the reason it's the weakest so far. But then again, still good. I wouldn't say there's a bad episode of the show so far, at least. So again, good episode.
Oh, ah! It's so dark and cramped! I'm so scared! Ah! We're gonna die! Ah! It's cramped! Ah!
So this episode is about the group finding a sleeping woman who's looking for a man to make children, and Ataru kisses her and wakes her up, so she must with him, but everybody thinks Shutaro did it, but according to tradition, it must be with Ataru. Honestly, this is the best episode so far. It's definitely the funniest, and I think the story out of all of it is the best, and I like how all of the story just leads up to a joke.
After all, I've found the ideal husband. Enough! Quit yelling!
Kurama, baby, you've got it all wrong! The one who woke you up with a kiss was...
Huh? How odd. I thought I heard him say something important.
Just your imagination.
So this episode shows that Sakura has become the school nurse. That isn't dwelled on all that much. It's mostly about Ataru getting boxing gloves, which hug people around him, which is great for comedic potential. And when he puts the other one on, it gets worse, punching the people closest to him, which once again, this is great for comedy. But this is the first episode that shows anything about Ataru caring for Lam, taking his own punches for her. Now, part 2 is about Ataru getting a fake love letter from someone, and someone showing up after ages. But can you guess who that is? Well, it's Lam. And this episode really shows that the two care for each other. Each individual part is really good, but together they're the best episode so far. So, yeah, great episode.
There's a kiss mark! Oh, baby!
This episode is about Lam keeping traditions and going to war. Kind of. That's not really it. It's more so they have a weird game. In concept, this episode is pretty good, but I don't really love this episode. It just doesn't have as many great jokes as the other episodes, but it's still pretty decent. But the second part on the other side is very, very good. Basically, all the main characters and a few others go to Saturn and meet Lam's old friend. This one's very funny and is one of the better episodes so far, but the first half isn't the best, so probably go somewhere around the middle.
It's true! Your grades are the worst in our records! They're painful to see! But it's all my fault! I should have taken your report card and burned it to ashes! Come on, Teach! What are you talking about? This is embarrassing!
I knew Ataru's grades were bad, but not that bad.
I didn't give a damn about my grades before, but now it's hurting my pride.
Obligatory beach episode time. Alright, it's a bit more complex than that, but it still has a lot of PG rated fan service. This episode is about some weird creature they find at the bottom of a public pool, and some random stuff about them trying to find a place to live. Overall, this is the weakest episode so far. I think the story's not the greatest. I don't really find the sea creature funny enough to make up for that. It's still alright, because it's still got the good characters. I just don't care for it nearly as much as the others. And it's a beach episode, so it's,
You can finish the whole course in a sitting, then it comes free of charge.
Oh, wow. That was delicious.
So I'm gonna go off script for a second. For some reason I've written Ron in my script like 8 times or so, when I meant to say Ran. So, a little confused why I wrote Ron, but on to the episode. This is the episode where Lam joins Atru's school, and so does Ran, and she does it to reunite with Lam because they were old friends, and she's constantly trying to kiss Atru because her power is sucking people's power through them, or I guess strength, their life through kissing them. This episode is great. Not the best so far, but it's very, very funny and quite sweet with a lot of the flashbacks.
Oh my gosh, you can't eat them. That's enough now, you little scamp. Hey, knock it the hell off!
Is something wrong, Ron?
No, it's nothing.
This episode is the episode where Ray is introduced. I mean, he's mentioned before, but this episode is the first episode to have him physically in it. In this episode is about Ray trying to marry Lam, and that's really it. It's a really funny episode in and of itself. I like this one, it's pretty good. And part 2 is the same thing, really. This really didn't need to be separated into 2 parts. Could have just been 1, but it's 2. So, guess that's fine.
Would you please marry me?
Oh, my goodness.
So, this episode is, well, this is the good stuff. This is some of the best. Well, is the best we've seen so far. But I'm redoing this one because I realised the script I had originally is pretty awful. So, I'm doing this now. I'm going off script. So, part 1 is nothing special. It's just about Lum's mum not being able to speak English, but then no one else can speak her language, and Lum is a terrible translator. It doesn't really go anywhere. It's got a few good jokes, but I think part 2 is why I love this. This part is about Lum leaving to go to her home planet, and wow, is it good. It is quite a sad episode, but that's what makes it amazing. It is truly fantastic, because it full out shows that Atru, he loves Lam, and that is pretty obvious in this episode. Even if he'll never show it, it's definitely the best episode so far. Top of the list.
Wait, Mommy! Please just calm yourself!
She's asking what what this is supposed to mean.
Throwing a glove like that only means one thing. She's proposing a duel!
Peikobo! She said, please, madam, you must reconsider! Think of the impact it would have on our families! It's just too much!
Listen to reason! This is hardly worth getting into a duel over!
Very well, we'll just have to settle this. To be frank, I'm both honored and overjoyed that you would have your own son make a proposal to marry me.
So, this episode introduces Shutero's sister, Ryogo. For some reason, I had Asuka written down in the script, even though she isn't introduced until literally season 2. So, yeah, I'm great with names. Not much happens in the first part, it just kinda happens. There's not too much to talk about with it. It's fine, it's got some good jokes, but the second part is about all the characters going to Shutero's house, and it's full of traps because of Ryogo. I like this second half, it's very fun, and it tests the characters in other ways not shown in other episodes. So overall, I like this episode. It's not the best episode of the season or anything, but for what it is, it's pretty good.
Why, thank you.
That voice! There's no doubt in my mind it belongs to a bombshell!
Could you come around to the front?
Gladly!
Hey, keep your distance.
It's all right.
Please let me see your face, miss!
Would you mind lending me your hand first?
Sure thing!
New intro time, probably an unpopular opinion, but I prefer this one over the other one, so yeah, screw you if you disagree with me. But this episode is the one that introduces Ten, who was a very young child. What's his age? Dunno. But instead of having lightning powers like Lam, he has fire powers. Ooh, in all seriousness, he's an alright character, but the actual episode is about Ten just being introduced. Doesn't really have much of a plot to it compared to other episodes, but this episode's alright. I don't think it's as good as other episodes, because I don't think Ten is as great a character compared to others. But I spotted a Ranma 1/2 reference when Yatsuра's thrown into the water. He kinda looks like the Ranma half pull. Maybe that's just me, but yeah. And the second half is about Ten going on a date, and this one's really funny, but still, it doesn't make up for the somewhat lackluster first half.
To my beloved Sakura. Oh, geez, it's another love letter. I want everything you have to offer. Talk about cliche. I want to taste those cherry red lips of yours and lock our tongues together!
Huh?
Then I want to lay my hands on your beak so that I can then, before, bounce like a baby!
Is something the matter, Sakura?
So, this episode is about the teachers trying to stop people from going to restaurants during school. This episode is extremely cartoonish, and I would say it's one of the worst episodes of the show. Still decent, just nothing all that great about it compared to the others, but the comedy saves it. The second half is just about all the girls looking into a ball that shows them the future, but they accidentally get sent one that shows them what they shouldn't do in the future. Yeah, as you can guess, this one is pretty decently funny, but not one of the best overall. But I still enjoyed it, because it's still Urusei Yatsura. It's still got the good characters. There's just nothing all that special about it compared to the other episodes.
They've got us trapped!
Oh, Mendo! Please help us! Pretty please! You gotta help us! Please, Mendo! You're our only hope!
I'm sorry, ladies, but as a proud member of...
Come on, Mendo!
Why, yes, of course. I'm always thrilled to help the ladies.
Really?
Not good, Mendo.
Oh, Yatsura?
Thank you for the help!
Miss Lum, it's my pleasure. Please proceed, ladies. Hey, wait a second! Back here!
So this episode introduces Tobimaro, who is the enemy to Shutaro, even though he already has an enemy, but never mind, he just has two. This episode is a baseball episode. I've never said this, but I hate baseball episodes in TV show. I don't think I've ever enjoyed them. This episode is a somewhat exception. I don't enjoy this episode, but it's alright. I wouldn't say that any episode so far is bad. At worst, they're just okay. Part 2 is about Tobimaro sending a challenge letter to Ryogo that was supposed to be sent to Shutaro, but then Ryogo thinks it's a love letter. So then Shutaro wants to kill Tobimaro, and this episode is decent. There isn't much fantastic about it, but it's still pretty alright.
Master Tobimaro, where are you running off to? Come on! You've come back to me! I'm so happy!
I was dreading having to watch this episode, because I knew it was going to be the worst one. This episode sucks. This is the only episode of the show that I said I wouldn't like. Part 1 kinda sucks, because it just repeats the same joke, and it doesn't even get funny by the end, so... this part is just... okay, I guess, at best. Part 2 is so much worse. It only has one joke, and that's pea humour. My favourite. I think this is the only episode that didn't make me laugh even once. Bottom of the list.
Switcheroo!
Hopefully I can stop saying this once we get to season 2, but this episode introduces Ryunosuke. I'm starting to sound like a broken record. Who, I really like this character. Besides from Lam and Ataru, her conflict feels the most interesting to me. Her conflict is the fact that her dad won't accept the fact that she's a girl, and honestly it's a pretty great episode. There's not really much story-wise, it's kind of just introducing her and her conflict, but it's, it's not bad. And part 2 is about her dad getting a job at the school, and Ryunosuke also joining the school. I don't know why they keep introducing new members to the school, but sure, I guess. I like the second half as well, it's probably on the same level as the first one. This episode's great, one of the better ones.
Oh, really?
And like I was hoping, you could teach me all the secrets you know about women!
This is another episode about Ryunosuke, which is always welcome. Wasn't expecting them to do two in a row, but I'm not complaining. So she tries to buy some the women's clothing, and she doesn't have enough to buy it. Also, this episode has two parts that link together. This is one of the only ones that does that. Normally, they'll just have they'll have two parts, but like they're completely separated. So I like this one having two parts that link together. So its second part's about Shinobu being stalked by some weirdo and having to stage a date with Ryunosuke to get him to leave her alone. And Ryunosuke does it for the money. Pretty good overall. But weirdly enough, this also has a part 2 after an ad break, which is completely different, but I'd actually argue is better. So it's about a star going to their house and granting 3 wishes. This part is really, really great. It really has some great character drama, showing how much they bicker and argue when they're granted 3 wishes. This episode is great. Putting it under the last, I'd say.
That's strange. Where did that bra go? It can't just up and disappear.
Episode 18. I forget part 1 exists, if I'm being honest. Part 1 is about Lum making a lipstick that, when putting on someone else, will make 2 of them kiss, which Yatsura gets his hands on, so, that goes about as well as you expect. So, yeah, you can imagine this one's quite funny, if you like me. I like this one. It's not the best. I think by the end it gets a bit too wacky or insane or whatever the word is for its own good, but still not bad. Part 2 is about Yatsura trying to find a food that Lum hates to annoy her, and I guess that's really all the story is, but it's still got some good jokes. I like this one better than the first one, but it's not the best. It's pretty good though.
This is nothing but an incredibly minor setback.
So, part 1 of this episode is at Shutro, showing everyone that he lives with octopi, and while that's happening, the last of its kind octopi runs away, so they have to go to this forest to find it. Don't know why he runs into a forest, he just does. This episode is very fun. It's one of the better ones so far. So yeah, part 2 is about Ten getting drunk off a pickled plum, and for some reason I've written the L as a capital in the script. And the same with Lum. This episode isn't all that good, but the drunk Lum is quite funny, but it's not as funny as you'd think it would be, and it doesn't like reveal any emotions about the characters like some shows have done. So this episode isn't bad, it just could have been better.
It's warm.
This is dumb. Why are you so excited?
Mom always wears that outfit.
Oh my god, this episode's done the impossible. It's 1 part. Mind-blowing. So, in this episode, Benton gets her chain stolen by someone, so Lum and third one, I forgot the name of, have to fight these kids to get it back. That sounds really bad now that I've read that out loud. Fun fact, this episode is the only episode to not physically have Ataru in it. He is only in it in someone's imagination. So, that's not bad actually, that's quite interesting. This episode is great, the action is funny, and the jokes themselves are very good. So, overall, great episode. Also, I wish the girls in this episode were in more episodes. I mean, they're literally in the intro. You don't just do that and then only have them in one episode.
Jeez! We've been waiting for you, Ben King. You? How'd you three get in here?
The back door was left wide open.
That's really dangerous, Benton.
So, this episode is about Lam and her friends having a flashback to a teacher they don't like who is coming to kill them in the modern day. Yeah. This episode's pretty good. The jokes are funny, and it has a flashback, so you know it'll be good. And part 2 is about Shutero's sister making a voodoo doll of him and giving it to Ataru, which, just the concept alone is funny, but they make some great jokes about it. Really like this one. Highly recommend watching it.
Want to do stuff like this?
Oh,
And stuff like this?
Master?
And things like this?
Are you okay?
I'm terrified that I can't control myself!
Young Master! Young Master!
So, this episode is about Ten buying a little bottle, which makes things that are big, small. What? I know, amazing, groundbreaking, absolutely phenomenal. Then Lam gets shrunk, and then lies to Ataru and says that she's sick and needs love to get back to normal. This episode is pretty good, even if I thought the ending wasn't funny. I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but part 2 is about Shinobu saving a little fox that terribly disguises itself as other people, and because it's become attached to Shinobu, it is following it everywhere. So this episode is pretty good. The jokes are good. I feel like they could have done more with the concept, but that's more of a problem with the 2-part structure of the show. But overall, for what it is, it's not bad.
You little brats! Let me go!
Keep it down! We're in class!
Hey! What did you say to me?
Yes, that's right. You're a smart girl, Shinobu. I have a present I would like to give you later. I really appreciate the thought and all.
That's enough! Can't you see I'm your real teacher?
Shut up, you faker!
Oh, final episode of the season, and did they go out with a bang? Yeah, kinda. This episode is good. It's about a contest to see who's the best girl in school through many different contests, such as ones like Strength, Smarts, and other ones. This is one of the best episodes of the season, but the reason I don't think it goes out on a bang per se is because it's not the best episode of the season. It's one of, but I think episode 10 has quite a bit of an edge over it. But it's very fun, has some great jokes, and showcases some of the best characters in the show. And the final scene is fantastic, and Ran is probably at his strongest in this episode. So overall, this episode is great, and straight at the top. So, yeah. And also, I really like the reference to the original intro at the end.
On to our next challenge! Okay, ladies, can you reach those lollipops up there?
So that was season 1. So what did I think of it? I personally loved it, but I can't really put my objective thoughts on it into words because it has quite a lot of flaws, but I kind of don't care, if I'm being honest. A lot of flaws I can ignore to just see so many good aspects, like what I said about episode 10, or just the comedy. It is flawed, no doubt. It can be really wacky, it can be overly silly, but I love this show so much. Even if I can admit it's flawed and admit it's not the best show ever made, I will admit that I do love the show. And so, now on to season 2, which I'm recording this after watching this, so I'm not going to ask any question or, does it get any better? You'll see what I think of it, but there's no question of, does it get any better? Because I've already recorded it. Sorry for going on a tangent, but, I don't think you care all too much. You're just watching a stupid YouTube video about a stupid show. So, 3 things to talk about before I talk about the actual episode. 1, new intro. And what do I think of it? Kinda sucks compared to the others, I guess. It's not necessarily bad, but I just don't think it's nearly as good as the others. It's not as catchy or nearly as memorable, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And 2, this is not dubbed anymore, and it's all subbed. So those clips I play at the end, all of them are gonna just be subbed. So enjoy. And 3, you might notice that the style is a bit more saturated than usual because season 2 became a bit more saturated than season 1. I don't know why they did that, but they did. It's just a random change. You may not notice it at first, but it is a difference, so I hope you notice now and you can't unnotice. So, part 1 is about Yatsura getting a gum that can make anything you imagine. This concept works very well, given Yatsura being, Yatsura. Yeah, this part is great because Yatsura is who he is. This part, works great for comedy and some sort of emotion. Wouldn't say it's like level 10 or the last episode of season 1, but it is still very funny. So part 2 is an episode about Lam forgetting how to speak Japanese, and this part is pretty good. Not as strong as the first part, but I liked a lot of the jokes besides the final one. So yeah, another good one. Season 2 is off to a great start so far. I hope that it stays on the same quality. So, this is voiceover number 69, just thought I'd say that, because there's been way too many outtakes. So, this episode is a Ryanosuke-centered episode, which is always welcome, as I like her character, and it's about her wanting to find out more about her mom, and whenever she asks her dad in this episode, he always gives a different story, and this all leads to the ending, where she sees photos of her mom, and she is told that her dad forgot who she was. So, yeah, this episode is quite good. There's quite a lot about it, like, it's quite emotional, and it doesn't forget to have good jokes in between. So, this is a very good episode overall, and I get to put in voiceover number 69 in this part.
普通の人間じゃねえか。この野郎脅かしやがって。へえ、全然覚えてねえや。え？あ、どういうことだ？
龍之介って母ちゃんがいっぱいいるんじゃね。
Something I've noticed about season 2 so far, this is off script by the way, is that the jokes have much longer of a build up compared to season 1. And I don't know if I'm right in that, or if that's just me, but I kind of just find it to be a bit odd in terms of comedy compared to the first one, but on to the next episode. So this is about some guy who kidnaps Lam, and he thinks his granddad is this guy on TV, but because they have matching outfits, he seems to think that they're married, but he has a pretty messed up view on women, and there isn't all too much to talk about with this episode. This one, in my opinion, is one of the least interesting episodes to talk about. I like the forest and the world building, and I think Llama's pretty strong in this episode, but I really don't think it's very funny. There are a few jokes that made me laugh, but just like, it's not one of the best of the show. It's probably near the bottom.
他愛のない出会いだがそれが二人にとって恋の始まりであった。
ソフトのわかり申した。かようにすれば女子と親しくなれるのですな。拙者これより嫁取りに行ってまいります。ソフ殿。
So, this is another two-parter, and part 1 sees the return of Princess Kurama, who was the person from episode 4 of season 1. So, she is now trying to find a man, so they use a computer to find the perfect match, and it finds Ray, and they pick him up when they are with Ran, and as you can guess, she is not happy about this, so all she does for the whole episode is try to get her off the ship. And this episode is okay. The jokes are funny, but it's really forgettable. I didn't care for it nearly as much as the first episode with her in it. And part 2 introduces another character. Thought I'd be able to stop saying this by now, but no! And this character is Toby Maro's little sister, and Shuichiro is getting married to her, and Atu is in this episode for some reason. He's just there. And the new character is horrified of men, because when she was young, she was made to be afraid of them, because I don't know. and she is annoying as hell, and I didn't really care for the jokes. Sadly, I don't really like this episode all that much, so it's going near the bottom, and also it kind of just ends out of nowhere, kind of like this part. So, this is another episode about Shutro's fiance, who, as I said before, is a character. She is a character I do not like. So, this episode, I do not like because she is annoying. And she is introduced to her brother, Tobimaro. Last name I don't know how to pronounce. Wow, all of these characters linked together. I really care that there's something positive going on with a character I do not like. This episode is far from my favourite. I really don't like it very much. It's okay, I guess, but Yatsura is really annoying in this episode. And he's normally like a bit annoying, but like that's the point. But here he just kind of feels like he's actively trying to be annoying, when other episodes he has a character, and he has actual things that he's doing besides from just being annoying, and Lam always keeps him at bay. But in this episode he's just annoying. And honestly, I was expecting this to be a two-parter, and I would have preferred that, because it means I get stuck less of this annoying character. Sorry for going on a bit of a rant there, but yeah, I don't really like this episode. This episode kind of sucks.
同じ目もしや
あなたは女の方ですね。
Okay, now we're back to the two-parters, and damn, what an episode to go back to the two-parters on. So I'll start with the less interesting one, part 1. So in this, the cat guy, I never really knew his name. I don't think it's ever actually stated, but anyway, he bought a table, and it basically has a mind of its own, and it won't have a blanket over it. This episode's pretty good for what it is. Nothing spectacular, but the jokes make up for the fact that it doesn't really have a story. So I like this one. So part 2, which is the good part. This is another one of those episodes I like to call Yatsura actually loves Lam and shows clear signs of it in this episode. So in this episode, Lam is bitten by a cow and she thinks she's turning into a cow because her horns grew a little bit. I know, so realistic. So nothing really happens in this episode story-wise, but near the end of the episode, we get one of the cutest scenes in the whole show, and it's just so sweet, showing how Yatsura cares for Lam so much. But also, I think that it has a lot of good jokes throughout it as well. So I really think that it's a very, very good episode. And I don't think it's quite as good as episode 10 from last season, but I do think it's great.
持ち主に聞くのが手っ取り早いな。
よし、すぐ呼ぼう。
マンドロバッキャラなんだと
早いっちゃね。
面倒家の情報もなめるなよ。話を聞け。
So, fun fact, this is the first episode of the show to be rated 15. All the others have been rated 12 or PG in the UK, but this one is a 15. And this is because Yatsura is smarter than usual. And now on to the episode. This is a body swap episode, and this really works with the whole Yatsura doing the whole being Yatsura thing. This is a great episode. It's very, very, very funny. The plot isn't much more than body swap, but they work off that well, and that's probably why it's a 15. But yeah, this is a great part. So, part 2 is about Ataru accidentally travelling to the future with Lam, and so while they're there, they just decide to see what happens, and Ataru sees something he doesn't want to see, but turns out it was wrong, and this part is possibly better than the first part. The jokes are just as funny, and it's also quite emotional at times, and I just think it's very great. So, overall, another great episode. Season 2 has been quite mixed so far. I either love the episodes or don't care for them, but there are other flaws to Season 2 than that, so I'll get to them in the end. So I've been going off script for this, and I need to stop going off script so much.
えらいこっちゃ。ラムちゃん、当たるのアホ知らんか。
どうり。頭を強く打った。
やっちゃうね。
So, this episode isn't a two-parter, it's actually the first episode in a 2-episode arc. No way! So, this episode is about a time traveller accidentally coming to Earth on this time and accidentally taking Lam, Atru, and Shinobu to this time dimension thing where you can go to all possible futures. This episode has some great world building. It's really interesting, but I think that the jokes are a bit lacking. They get better in the later half of the episode, but I think that the world building and emotion do make up for the jokes, because this is one of the strongest episodes so far. Most first parts in media are normally just preparing for you for the second part, but this episode is actually a really good episode on its own, so very good thumbs up.
疲れただろう。
子供たちは
部屋でおとなしくしておる。
二人っきりだね。
Part 2 time, and spoilers, this part's better than the first part. So in this part, all the characters make their own futures, while also going through miscellaneous futures, while trying to get their own future. This episode has all of the strengths of the last episode, but does all of them just straight up better. Atru's chosen future, where he lives with all the people he's fallen in love with, is hilarious. And Lam is one where he marries Atru, which was really sweet. And Shinobu's is one where everything stays practically the same, was really sweet. This episode is another one that shows some really strong emotions. Even better than that last episode. Genuinely fantastic episode.
ここは おお、ハーレム。だが6畳一間。
旦那様、せめて2間のアパートに引っ越せないんですか？
ちょっとそこ詰めて。
たく狭いな。
すし詰めハーレムではないか。許せ皆の者、俺の経済力ではこれが精一杯なのだ。
So, this episode is the highest rated episode of the show on IMDb. So, what happens in this episode? So, basically, an octopi is stuck to Shutro's head, and he can't get rid of it. Somehow, this episode is kind of nothing, so what's the big deal with it?
今日もあの方が窓の下を駆け抜けていった。いつも元気で楽しそう。爽やかな笑顔。なんというお名前なのかしら。ガールフレンドはいるのかしら。一度でいい。お話ししてみたい。10月27日。あのお方の名前が分かった。
4丁目の諸星あたるくんだって。
母が調べてくれたのだ。どんな人なの？でも母は困ったように笑って答えてはくれなかった。それはそうよね。だって私はあの方みたいに元気じゃないし、それにきっともう付き合っている女の子がいるに違いない。素敵な人だもの。
What? Where did this come out of? I just thought this was the silly anime. What's going on here? I'm so what? What? Oh, okay. So this episode goes probably how you think it goes, and he has to go on a date with the ghost so she can finally die happily. I know I'm not making it sound that amazing, but this episode is truly fantastic. It is very sad. The plot alone is sad, but this is truly, truly amazing. I wish we got more episodes in this show that were this good. Jesus, you can't just hit me with that just midway through the episode. But, yeah, genuinely amazing episode.
僕に何かな。あ、マフラー。おお、イニシャル入り。ありがとう。あったかいよ。よかった。
季節外れだっちゃ。致し方あるまい。あの娘の命日はクリスマスじゃ。
嬉しい。夢じゃないのね。あなたに手渡せるなんて思ってもいなかったんです。だから渡す時のこと想像して楽しむだけで。編んでてよかった。
いやー、そんなに喜んでもらえると外しにくくなるではないか。このクソ暑いのに。嬉しいよ、のぞみちゃん。君からのプレゼントだったらなんだって。
本当ですか？実はまだあるんです。毛糸の帽子と手袋とレッグウォーマー。
This is the first episode so far to have the principal be a big part of the episode. And honestly, he's not amazing. He is quite nice, but the reason he is a big part of it is because he gets knocked out. And they have to find out who did it. I'm gonna be honest, everyone just forgets logic in this episode and is just kind of stupid. Just wait for the man to wake up. He's clearly not dead, but the jokes are pretty good, I guess, so yeah, it's not bad. So part 2 is about Ran getting a plant that when you say something into it, they fly off and repeat it. This episode, while far from bad, is not one of the best the show has to offer. It's just alright.
何をやってる貴様。
いや別に深い意味はないんだ。
So this episode is about Yatsura bumping into Ran. Two Ran episodes in a row. And then she drops a cupcake, which he eats, and apparently it's poison, but turns out in the end they were just a lot more filling than normal ones, made especially for Ray. Yeah, this one's pretty good. Jokes are okay, and the episode is quite sweet. So, part 2 is about that fox we saw a while ago, trying to turn Shinobu into a fox for the night. But he loses what he needs to do that. Once again, this episode is pretty good. I like the jokes.
何が言いたいんじゃお前は。
狐に伝言頼まれたっちゃ。
ほう、お前は誰だ。
ラムだっちゃ。
これは誰だ。
誰だっちゃ。
Before this episode review starts, I want to talk about the third outro. It's so good. I don't know what to say besides from just that, but you need to listen to it. It's a lot slower pace than the intro, but I don't think that's a bad thing considering how the intro came out. But if you haven't already, just trust me and listen to it. It's so good. And new intro, and this one is a definite improvement over the previous one. I like this one. Maybe not as much as the first season's one, but I like it. And that's really all that matters compared to the last one. But what's this episode about? Basically, Shutaro is trying to get over his fear of dark and cramped areas without women, because he's fine with women. If you go back to episode 3, I played a clip. It was used as a joke in that episode, but they're trying to take it seriously now. So in doing that, they travel to the past to stop it before it happens. And in this episode, they don't really do that. They kind of just try to at the start, but then kind of forget about it. And I really enjoyed this episode. Going to the past was really enjoyable, and the jokes were funny enough as well, so I really like this one. Thumbs up.
なるほど。それでわざわざ様子を見に来てくれたんですね。
大丈夫なのけ？
みんな心配しているぞ。そうか？
俺が金持ちの子にタルタルソースだって。
Here's the second episode to be rated at a 15, and I don't think I can say why without this video getting taken down. It's not even like I tried to stay family friendly for this, I just genuinely think I can't. So I'm gonna skim over the reason. So, this episode is basically about Tobimaro's sister forcing her into her, put it in advertised friendly terms, lie. You know, it's a lot worse in the episode, and this episode is a bit annoying. I don't really like Tobimaro's sister at all.
Yeah, that's my beautiful sister Amy. We don't always get along, but we sure do love each other. Pim, I genuinely hate you. I have no love for you in any shape or form. Right, babe? Alright.
I kind of hate her. And his mum is really annoying as well in this episode. And for some reason, this episode on IMDb has the same description as episode 14. For reasons I genuinely don't know. And part 2 is mostly the same, but a little better because it's a little more funny.
そういうことならな、
目ん玉ひんむいてよーく見やがれ。俺は
So this is part 2 to the last episode, so you'll know I love it. You know what? This episode isn't bad, because I actually enjoy Lam's story of her trying to find Yatsura before he does anything stupid. But Shutro's story is just not very good. It's okay compared to the last episode, but my god, just watch any other episode placed higher than this. So, for some reason, this episode has the same description as the episode Season 1, Episode 15, which is about Ran, who doesn't even appear in this episode, so why?
僕は今まで何をしていたのだ。おお、もう生き返った。
So, this episode introduces, oh my god, Nagisa, who isn't necessarily a bad character. I just thought I'd be able to stop saying that when I got to season 2. We're literally near the finale and they're still introducing new characters. Why? And she is basically the opposite of Ryunosuke, where she was a girl raised like a man, and he's a man who was raised by like a girl, and it's hard to explain exactly, but basically they're a ghost and they get a temporary body until they get their wish, and she never gets it. I mean, sorry, the show ends before they can get that story wrapped up. Oh yeah, this is a 2-parter. So the second part is about Ten trying to find an umbrella for a little scarecrow he found in a puddle. And this part is not as good as the first part, but it's still decent.
あのアタル君たちが渚さんに何のモーションもかけないなんて確かにらしくないっちゃ。
どうした面倒。
貴様こそ
無節操でえげつない女好きのお前が
スケベで不死だらで見境ない貴様が
なぜ動かん。
妙よね。
So, back to Nagisa and Ryunosuke. So, this episode continues Nagisa's story to complete her life. Gosh, I sure hope they finish that story and the show doesn't end before it gets wrapped up. But in this episode, Ryunosuke's dad leaves to go on a trip and leaves the two of them on their own. So, Ryunosuke leaves the house, and part 2 is about the school cracking down on people meeting around the class. Then 10 comes to try and kill people. Also, there's a Ranma half reference.
教科書6ページの内容を復習していく。今日は私がこら、俺喧嘩しに来てんだ。無駄でも抵抗くらいせい。なんとか言わんかい。なんや。なんや、どないしてんみんな。おい、なんか変やぞ。ラムちゃんどないなっとんねん。
So, this episode shows the return of Aniba, which is always a welcome appearance. He's a good character with some of the best episodes. So, this one is about Aniba asking Shinobu to do some test of true love or whatever with him. Honestly, I really enjoyed this episode. The test was fun and the ending was very sweet, and the jokes were, like usual, great.
これのどこが愛と勇気を試すテストだっちゃ？
一見何の変哲もない女湯だが、みんな下がってろ。俺が確かめて。
You know, I'm on season 2, episode 19, and I've only now just realised when recording this how inconsistently long my reviews for the episodes are. Why? So, this episode, 10 burns a scarf that Lum knit for Ataru. That's a lot of names. To a crisp. And Ataru is finding an excuse to get mad at 10, so he gets really mad at him for that. And as that happens, 10 looks away for advice to apologise to Lum, but everyone just gives him terrible advice or just doesn't elaborate on anything at all. This episode is pretty decent. 10 is a good character, and this episode pushes him to be even better, and he pushes this episode to be not bad. I like this episode. And part 2 is about Ran and Lum getting some sweets out. When you feed them to someone, a heart appears above their head, and when you grab it, they fall in love with you. And this part is also great. The plot is great for comedic potential, and especially for this show. And they really do expand on that plot. This episode's great.
珍しいわね。先生、今日もお休みか。シュン。
この重ひいつ届くのだろうか。せっかく早起きして作ったのに。
ラムちゃん何か知ってる？多分来ると怖い思いをするからだっちゃ。
なんてこうなるだ。
So, the plot is now starting to wrap up in this show, and in this episode, Lum basically just remembers that when she was a child, this was this creepy old man who said something about her making him his wife in the future, and it's the future now, and he's returned, and he's making his son off to be a husband. And you may be asking, what about Ataru? Well, he isn't happy with this. This episode is mostly introducing what is going to happen in the episodes coming forth. But even at that, it's still a pretty good episode as the jokes are funny.
さあ、はけはけ墓垣様。
わしは何も知らん。
誰が己を尋問しとる。
何か映っとる。
なんじゃこれは。
だからハケだろ。
いい度胸じゃの。
Thank you for sticking around to this point, but I want to say something funny. Every time I put Ataru in the script, Google Docs has said that I've misspelt something, but when I click on it, it says spelling. This word is potentially misspelt, and it's saying that there's no suggestion for what I've misspelt. Excuse you, that's not how English works. Tell me that I've misspelt something, and tell me what I've misspelt. Sorry, back to the episode. So in this episode, the guy kidnaps Lum and forces her to marry Lum. Why did I put that in the script? Was I high? I meant him, not Lum, by the way. Or at least tries to get her to marry him, because Ataru pulls a Shrek and objects. Then the episode ends. Yeah, this episode is great, even better than the first part. Stuff actually happens, but it is great. And I love how the aliens that took Lum speak British slang, which reminds me of the BBC dub of the 1980s show. If you know what that is, then lucky you. But if you don't, Just look it up, my god.
諸星お前もバカ
都内各校美少女リスト住所と電話番号豪華生写真付き
何の真似だ
貴様に借りを作る気はない物々交換といこう
交換これと
スペースシャトル1台
Why is Aniba in this episode? Oh wait, forget about him. He's not gonna do much, is he? That doesn't matter. So, in this episode, Atru is fighting the aliens that kidnapped Lam. And because of a trick, Atru thinks that Lam said something that she didn't, and he is mad at her. Wow, this is really interesting, guys. Thanks for writing some of the best stuff ever. To be fair, they do it in a cool way that is better than most shows would pull it off, even if I do think the idea of it is a bit generic. But, yeah, still though, good episode, but this episode has this one part where Atru talks to Lam, which is just heartbreaking. On Earth, Lam is threatening to erase everybody's memories if he doesn't catch her in a game of tag. Oh, it's like episode 1. Is that a reference? But the only way he can win is by saying that he loves her.
うちは本気で逃げるっちゃ。もしもうちを捕まえたかったら。
So this is the final episode, and it is Atru playing a game of tag with Lam to decide the fate of Earth. Wait, I haven't said this before. Wait, yes I have. Yeah. This is just a huge callback to the first episode. I know I said it in the review of the last episode, but my god, this episode is amazing. One of the best in the show. It is fantastic. It does a okay job at wrapping up the show. I think the actual final scene of the episode is really disappointing as an ending. But that second to last scene, oh my god, is it amazing. This scene is absolutely fantastic. Oh my god.
そうだっちゃ。ダーリンは変わらない。変わってないっちゃ。いつもうちのこと。Is it funny?
ラム
ダーリン
ラムのバカ
So, season 2 is a lot more mixed than the first season. I like it, but it is a lot more mixed. The slapstick got really repetitive. The animation isn't nearly as good. The episode plots are a lot more basic. But I still loved it. I see a lot of people saying they hate it, a lot of people saying they love it. And I'm on the side that loves it, just not as much as the first season. Because it has a lot of the best episodes of the show, but it has a lot more flaws than the first season. But that was Urusei Yatsura. I got my idea from LS Mark, so I'll read all the episodes from worst to best. By the way, I'd like to add that some episodes sounded like I would have put them higher or lower, but I was specifically talking to how good they were I was feeling at the time. Maybe in reflection I thought an episode was better, or maybe I thought an episode was good compared to the rest of the episodes around it, or just okay compared to the episodes around it. All that to say, it may seem like I've put something in a weird place, which I probably have, but this is just my opinion at the end of the day. So, starting at the bottom with episode 15, episode 7, episode 9, season 2, episode 14, episode 3, season 2, episode 5, season 2, episode 15, episode 1, episode 14, episode 19, episode 12, episode 11, episode 18, episode 11 of season 2, episode 2, episode 13, episode 16, episode 17, season 2, episode 4, season 2, episode 3, episode 6, episode 21, episode 22, season 2, episode 17, episode 8, episode 16, season 2, season 2, episode 13, episode 20, season 2, episode 1, season 2, episode 19, season 2, episode 2, season 2, episode 12, season 2, episode 7, episode 4, episode 5, episode 23, season 2, episode 20, season 2, episode 18, season 2, episode 21, season 2, episode 22, season 2, episode 8, season 2, episode 23, episode 10, season 2, episode 10. There was a lot of debate in my mind over what I'd put higher, episode 10 or the finale, but I decided to put episode 10 higher because it doesn't have the flaws of season 2, even if the first half isn't as good as the second half. I still say I'd prefer it, but that was the show. I really love Urusei Yatsura. It may not be a big, grand masterpiece like Attack on Titan or Hunter x Hunter, but almost everything it wants to do, it does great. It is flawed, but the comedy, the characters, and that goddamn romance are just so amazing that why should I care about the flaws? And that is every episode of Urusei Yatsura. And this is the end of the video. So before I end the video, I want to say, if you like this video style, then leave a like and maybe leave a comment. I was thinking about doing it with other shows, like maybe one on BoJack Horseman. I don't know, just spitballing here. What do you guys think? But that was all from me, and goodbye.